I made these, but you can buy them. Lee Nielsen sells them. This one is a copy of the Lee Nielsen one, and I bought their blade to put in it. This one I made myself just on my own design, and it uses a X-Acto knife, and you can just change the blades out. I like this one. I use this one more than I use that one. I have a veneer cutting board at home. It's a piece of plywood with a fence on it, so I can slide the veneer up against it, hold it in place while I cut it. This will serve. I didn't bring it with me. This is a piece of black dyed veneer, a substitute for ebony. And you can get it in different thicknesses, from very thin to pretty thick. You can get this up to 1/8 inch thick. It is, they use several different woods to dye, and the quality of the way the wood works varies greatly with the species. This is European Sycamore, and the trees are cut in Switzerland, I believe is where these are cut, into the veneer. Then the veneer is sent to Italy, where it is dyed, and then it's shipped to this country. I get it from a company called B&B Rare Woods. It's on your handout. They're in Colorado. They sell veneers to luthiers, to pool cue makers, all kinds of people that like colored veneer for different things. And they sell it in different thicknesses. That's one of the few places I know you can get thicker veneer. And the thicker the veneer is, it's way better to work with. If you go down now and buy veneer, it's what, 1/40th or 1/42nd even. It's so thin. I mean, there's no error. You can't sand on it. You'll sand through it. But you can get thick stuff from them. The only drawback they have is that B&B Rare Woods, I think 4 feet is about as long as they have. Remember a company called Constantine's, used to sell wood and veneers. They're still in business. They're in Florida, and they have a black dyed veneer in various thicknesses. But they use black dyed poplar, and it fuzzes up. It doesn't cut as good as this stuff does. There's another European wood, or African wood, I'm not sure where it comes from, called anagray, and it is the best. It really takes a good dye. But I hadn't found a source for that recently. You see you got this rough edge here. That's where I've been cutting some scallops for a fan, and let me trim that off. Let's see. I'll cut straight about this flat. I need a straight edge for this to run against. If I was home, I have something already set up to do this. This will track off of this straight edge I've got here. Don't cut it all the way through the first time. We talked about sound. I can hear it when it lets go. There it is. A little bit more here.
That works just like a marking gauge, doesn't it?
It does. It just has a exact amount. Good thing about it, if it gets dull, stick another blade in there. Makes a good cut. Now we've got a square edge to work with. You can also use this one. This one, if you notice, has a little bar on it. And what that little bar does is it holds the wood down. See? Oh, yeah. Holds it down, which keeps it from flopping around. Let's see if we get that over and I can cut it yet. Here we go. Yeah, shoot. I need this held down between the centers. Would be better. You can just hold it right there. Now I'll hold it. Yeah, that's okay. We won't cut it the whole way. Just to show you that this one works too. Oops, let me move it over some here. This is set up for the screen. There you go. I cut, brought some stringing for y'all. If you got your little wop and you want to try inlaying a string, I have some black dye veneer stringing and some holly veneer stringing. Yeah, I put it. That I brought. It's sized just for one of these cutters. Where is it? It's a little bundle of.
Is it?
Yeah, no, that's not it. That's Inlay. Where is it? Anyway, I had one. I thought people might want to try it just on their own, sticking a piece in there and cut a little maple and cut a little ebony or a black dye. Well, I'll find it and do it tomorrow. But that's what I use. I use these two to cut veneer. We're going to talk tomorrow about making banding. This is banding pack. See, strips veneer on top, strips of veneer on bottom. Cutting veneer with that cutter is an essential tool for doing this. You can cut it in a table saw setup I showed you. You can cut it on that, but it works just as good to use a cutting gauge on it, a little thicker than it is. Now the pack, when you get everything glued up, and you want to straighten that edge, I straighten that on a joiner, and then run it across the table saw, that little blade on the table saw, to square it all up. But that's the only time I use the power tools in. Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll talk about that today. Here it is. It's not it either. Yeah, I don't know where it is. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about an eagle inlay. This is the pack. That's where I cut one out. And in one of these boxes down here, I have all the pieces. And we'll put one of those, rather than sitting here, I timed myself, therefore yesterday cutting one out. I cut that eagle out on the pattern in about 50 minutes to make the parts. There's 38 parts, and I cut them out in about 50 minutes. And if you were somebody that did that all day, every day, you could probably cut them a whole lot faster than that. And they're out of two different woods, and we'll do some sand shading on them and put them all back together. Let's see, what was I going to cover? Yeah, oh, this. You remember the picture of the spice box that had the swirly vines on it? This is the pattern I used right here. And you don't need to make four of these. You only need to make one. Do the same. I'll put this one corner, other corner, other corner, other corner. Router follows it around. It lays out all that pattern. Then you put this one on there, and for the circle that goes the other way, put this on there and go the other way with it, and that makes the whole loop. That little spiral loop. See, it goes like that. No, like this. Like that. And then one kind of like that, and like that. Around like that. So it takes two jigs to do it. But I'm a big believer in these patterns. Makes it so much easier than having to do it by hand or without a pattern. And if you make them out of MDF, or this is a millimeter, or not millimeter, but what do you call it? Micarta, what that's called? That river wood. Make it out of that. It's hardwood.
Hardboard?
Hardwood. What is that sound?
Speaker.
Oh, it's me. I thought it was thunder, and I said. Got all this stuff for tomorrow. I don't want to do it today. And this is all tomorrow's stuff. Any questions about what we've talked about so far today? Satisfied?
I have a kind of a general question. You just talked about the inlays you're gonna make, and I know we'll cover it tomorrow, but
Yeah,
the general question is, do you cut those pieces out with the scroll saw?
yep, I do, yeah. Now, there's all kinds of ways to do marquetry. Some people cut them out with a knife by hand, some saw. There's also a method where you can put them at an angle, and saw them at an angle so that when you put them together, they match. Yeah, I've never done that, but I'll show you a way tomorrow that I think's better. You leave the gap, and you fill the gap in. When you fill the gap in, it looks good. You fill the gap in with a black dye. The one that's laying right near the board has got the shell on the outside of it. This
Right there,
where,
the black piece.
no, it's the one, piece of poplar and it's got a shell inlaid on one side of it. It was just here.
There's your shells right here beside that router.
Oh,
Finger
no,
soap.
no, that's another. Here it is. No, that's not it either. It's on a piece of poplar and it's got a shell inlaid on the back of it. About that long. And we've had it today. Several times today. Well. I don't see it. Ah, there's been a snake or a bit me. There it is. This. If you look closely at this, you will note see the black lines. Looks like somebody's drawn that on there. I've had people ask me, did you draw that on there? Is that drawn on? And I said, no, that's two separate pieces of wood. See, it looks like it's got a line around it. That's the gap between the pieces. And to make it look, to make it, you're using it to your advantage rather than your disadvantage. And you fill that gap with a material that I get. I've got too many boxes. Black can about that big. Not there, not there. Ah, there it is. This timber. Ever seen that? You can get it in all kind of colors. Ebony is what I use. It's paste, black paste. Smells not too good, but you can put it on with a little artist palette knife, press it into the back side of your inlay before you mount it. Put it on the back side. It fills up all the gaps with black line. It looks like somebody inked it on there.
What do you cover the front of that with when you're putting that in from the back? Is it veneer tape?
Yeah, I'll show you tomorrow. You assemble it, put veneer tape on it to hold it together. Flip it over, the veneer tape side is the face side. Flip it over, put that stuff in on the back side, then inlay it, strip the tape off, and you got that black highlight. So everywhere you have a void, you now got a black line, which looks like somebody took an ink pen and drew it on there.
And it doesn't shrink or anything?
No, it does not shrink. It's water-based, works really good. It's made in Australia. And they sell it in the kitchen cabinet shops. Distributor in Chattanooga sells it, and Woodcraft sells it. It comes in all kind of colors. Comes in black, white, mahogany, walnut. I hadn't had any good luck with anything except the white and the black. The others don't quite match. I mean, if you put the mahogany on a piece of mahogany, you can see it. It doesn't really hide that well. So we'll talk about that, using that stuff tomorrow.
What is it called?
Timber Mate. You can pass it on.
They have it at our Woodcraft.
Yeah, Woodcraft.
Yeah, I've seen it at our Woodcraft.
Sometimes they don't have the ebony, and that's one I like the best. It's the ebony. We'll talk about all these different kinds of inlays and where they come from. I've been making, remember we went out there and drilled the holes a little while ago with the, this is what you use it for. I drilled every one of those with the 3/16 drill bit. That is called a dot and dash inlay banding. And this, you see this on Kentucky furniture all the time. But it didn't come from Kentucky, it came from Baltimore. That is a Baltimore pattern. You know, you see these guys on Antiques Roadshow and they say, oh, that's a Baltimore piece. I can tell by the inlay, or I can tell by the way he made his feet. Well, that's a Baltimore piece. Now, Baltimore guys came up with that. But somebody who came across the Great Road, went up into Kentucky, copied that, and they used it. I think that most of the cabinet makers did not make their own banding. It's too specialized. It takes too much time. But if you were in a business to make banding, you can make it worthwhile. So I think most cabinet makers bought their banding from somebody else. I really do. And it may have been made overseas and imported into this country. You know, they make it in England, maybe cheaper than we could, and they ship it over here, come into New York, Philadelphia, and be distributed. But it's specialized work. If you're interested in making that, there are several videos. The best ones are Steve Latta's videos on how to make decorative banding, 2 volumes. The first one's easy, the second one's really complicated, but none of them are really hard. Latta's advice, which I agree with, is if you're doing this and it's taking you a long time and it's hard, you're doing it wrong, because they wouldn't have spent the time on it. They were all in business to make money. The best furniture that's ever been made has been made right now, by far, because we do not have to make, most people like us don't have to make a living at it, so we can spend our time, make everything just right, finish the inside, make sure the back looks as good as the front. They would never have done that. So all the best stuff being ever made has been made right now. Well, y'all have worn me out for the day.
Provided it's not coming from IKEA.
Yeah.
Provided it's not coming from IKEA.
Okay.
I don't know anybody has any furniture from IKEA, but I understand a lot of people do. Or they're sort of like kit.
I know several people that actually buy some of their furniture
Yeah.
and that's not put together, and then they do other stuff with it.
Jeez.
When you make this stuff, you make it up in a big.
Yeah,
stick,
we'll
and slice it
show y'all that tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll talk about pat arrays and bandings.
Make a nice backstrap, wouldn't it? For a
Yeah, it
guitar.
would for a guitar.
Yeah, it'd be a real pretty one.
Let me show you a better one than that. I mean, this one.
Backstrap.
This one goes for
center of the bag.
This one goes on a jewelry box. I just finished it but yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that is pretty.
Isn't that nice? I like that one.
I have several pieces.
Oh, yeah. You rip a bunch out of that. Yeah, we'll talk about how to do that
That's
tomorrow.
what Rick was trying to do, a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I got a friend in Nashville, and he and I get together and work a weekend to making different bandings, different kinds.
Your own design?
No, we always copy something. Except this one. Here's one he made. I really like this
I
one.
wanna make a rosette like that.
I really like that one.
That's pretty.
Isn't that pretty?
Oh, that is.
It's one of my favorites.
Buy those kind of strips.
Very
Sure, here's the other for had that, inlaybanding.com.
Yeah. I get them from
Yeah.
Illinois,
Yeah.
and they're a lot cheaper than woodcraft.
We make this one.
I don't think this
Middle
part
of
of
this.
it takes so long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was pretty too.
Yeah.
That was
Very
really
similar to
nice.
that one. I like the color in it.
I never made that kind of stuff. I may have to try that.
Make these are ingrain. We use ingrain.
Yeah.
They're easy to make. I'll talk about how to make all those tomorrow. Oh, cuff inlays. This is a cuff inlay on here. That's
kind of glue did he use for this?
I don't know. It's called a cuff. Oh, let me tell y'all something before you go. This is important. Here's a tapered leg, tapered on 2 sides. So you're gonna cut the groove to put this in. Well, it's square on each corner. You can square off here and here. You can't square over here. It's it's at an angle. It won't meet in the back corner. So you got to piddle and fool and get. I was working on one of these. Had it all set up. You can imagine this was on the table, and I was trying to lay out this. And my daughter, she was probably 12 at the time, came downstairs and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm trying to lay out a line parallel all the way around him." And she said, "Why don't you just take a block of wood?" That's all you got to do. And I showed that to some guys that supposed to know what they're doing. They said, "I never thought of that." That's all you got to do. Just take one of the right length and just scribe a line, and you've got it.
I got the base.
That's right.
Ronnie, I want for us to do a group photograph
Oh, okay.
right up here, because Terry won't be here.
Oh, that's right.
What kind of glue do you use on these?
On those, I use white glue.
White glue?
Now, we'll talk about this tomorrow, but on some of them, I use hot glue. And the reason I use hot glue is if they're going to bend, you need to use hot glue because you can heat them up, and all those little elements will slip over each other. But if you're going to make something that's going to bend, you need to use hot glue on it.
Okay.
But other than that, if it's straight, I just use the white glue, and again, because it leaves a clear line.
So I guess anywhere you use hot glue, you could use fish glue.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can use fish glue anywhere you use hot glue.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to worry about heating it up and all that stuff.
Door plant.
Yeah.
They buy that white glue just right there, 55-gallon drums, and he pours off bottles out of the bottom of the barrel for
Most
them.
of those
Know where I'm gonna get.
commercial companies use a glue from a company called Jesco. Jesco makes
this
a white
is
glue.
Jesco. Yeah, Jesco white glue.
If you go to the IWF show in Atlanta, they'll give you all the sample bottles of that you want.
Really?
You can get all that stuff in one, can't you?
Veneers?
Different colors.
Yeah, but you can probably get it cheaper from a veneer supplier.
Quick, just builds in.
Mine you packed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
That
it.
kind of investment's still have all that veneers.
You hit it all the time. Did you ask about a
This-
specific